In the annals of history, few pronouncements carry the weight of a Catholic excommunication. These solemn decrees, issued by the highest authority of the Church, mark moments of profound rupture and conflict, shaping the course of nations and the lives of individuals. From the excommunication of Martin Luther, igniting the flames of the Protestant Reformation, to the defiant acts of rulers like Henry VIII and Napoleon Bonaparte, who dared challenge the supremacy of the papacy. These decrees reverberate through the corridors of time, leaving an indelible mark on the tapestry of human history. Join us on a journey through the tumultuous waters of religious dissent, political intrigue, and spiritual defiance, as we explore the stories behind some of the most infamous Catholic excommunications in history. The excommunication of Napoleon Bonaparte in 1809 was a significant event that underscored the power struggle between Napoleon's regime and the Catholic Church. Napoleon's invasion and annexation of the Papal States, along with the imprisonment of Pope Pius VII, marked a direct challenge to the authority of the papacy. The conflict between Napoleon and the Church was multifaceted, encompassing both political and religious dimensions. Napoleon sought to consolidate his control over Europe and viewed the Church as a potential rival to his authority. Additionally, he aimed to reform the Church in France through measures such as the Concordat of 1801, which redefined the relationship between the French government and the Catholic Church. However, tensions escalated as Napoleon's ambitions clashed with the interests of the papacy. The excommunication of Napoleon by Pope Pius VII was a drastic measure taken in response to Napoleon's actions against the Church and the Pope himself. It was a symbolic gesture of defiance and condemnation, asserting the spiritual authority of the papacy in the face of temporal power. Despite the excommunication, Napoleon's influence over the Catholic Church continued as he installed compliant clergy and sought to control religious affairs in the territories under his rule. However, the excommunication added to the complexities of Napoleon's rule and contributed to the broader context of religious and political strife in Europe during the Napoleonic era. The excommunication of Martin Luther by Pope Leo X on January 3, 1521, marked a critical moment in the history of Christianity. Luther, a German monk and theologian, had sparked controversy within the Catholic Church with his 95 Theses, which he famously nailed to the door of the Castle Church in Wittenberg in 1517. These theses challenged the sale of indulgences and questioned the authority of the Pope. Despite attempts to reconcile with the Church, Luther remained steadfast in his beliefs, leading to his eventual excommunication. The excommunication of Luther was a dramatic escalation in the conflict between reformers and the Catholic Church. By formally cutting ties with Luther, the Church sought to suppress his teachings and maintain its authority over matters of doctrine and faith. However, the excommunication had unintended consequences, as it galvanized support for Luther and his ideas among the growing number of dissenters across Europe. Following his excommunication, Luther faced increasing hostility from both religious and secular authorities. He was declared a heretic by the Holy Roman Empire, putting his life at risk. Despite these threats, Luther continued to spread his message through his writings, sermons, and translations of the Bible into German. His bold stance against the Church's corruption and his emphasis on the authority of Scripture resonated with many people disillusioned with the ecclesiastical hierarchy. The excommunication of Martin Luther also ignited the flames of the Protestant Reformation, a movement that would profoundly reshape Western Christianity. Luther's teachings laid the foundation for Protestant theology, emphasizing salvation through faith alone and the priesthood of all believers. His translation of the Bible into the vernacular allowed ordinary people to engage directly with Scripture, empowering them to interpret the Bible for themselves. In the centuries that followed, the Reformation sparked religious wars, political upheavals, and the fragmentation of Christianity into numerous denominations. The excommunication of Martin Luther was not just a theological dispute. It was a catalyst for profound social, cultural, and political changes that continue to shape the world today. Henry VIII's excommunication in 1533 marked a significant rupture between the English monarchy and the Catholic Church. The catalyst for this event was Henry's desire to annul his marriage to Catherine of Aragon, who had failed to produce a male heir. Seeking to marry Anne Boleyn in hopes of securing a male successor, Henry sought an annulment from Pope Clement VII. When the Pope refused to grant the annulment, Henry took matters into his own hands, pursuing a series of legal and political maneuvers to assert his authority over the Church in England. In response to Henry's actions, Pope Clement VII issued a papal bull, formally excommunicating him from the Catholic Church. This act not only severed Henry's ties with the Church, but also branded him a heretic in the eyes of Catholic Europe. The excommunication was a severe blow to Henry's legitimacy as a ruler, as the Catholic Church held significant influence over the spiritual and political affairs of Europe at the time. Henry's excommunication had profound implications for the religious landscape of England. It prompted the English Reformation, during which Henry broke away from the authority of Rome and established the Church of England, with himself as its supreme head. This move not only enabled Henry to marry Anne Boleyn, but also allowed him to consolidate power over the Church's vast wealth and influence in England. Despite his excommunication, Henry remained committed to Catholic doctrine in matters of faith, and the break with Rome was primarily a political maneuver to serve his own interests. Nevertheless, the excommunication had lasting consequences, setting England on a course toward Protestantism and altering the balance of power between church and state in ways that would shape the nation's history for centuries to come. Marcel Lefebvre's excommunication in 1988 was the culmination of a long-standing dispute between him and the Vatican over the direction of the Catholic Church. As the founder of the Society of St. Pius X, Lefebvre vehemently opposed certain reforms of the Second Vatican Council, particularly those related to liturgical changes and ecumenism. Despite repeated warnings from the Vatican, Lefebvre persisted in his rejection of what he perceived as modernist deviations from traditional Catholic doctrine and practice. The breaking point came when Lefebvre proceeded to consecrate 4 bishops without papal approval, a direct challenge to the authority of Pope John Paul II and the unity of the Church. This unilateral action, taken against the explicit instructions of the Pope, led to Lefebvre's automatic excommunication under canon law. The consecrations further deepened the rift between Lefebvre and the Vatican, solidifying his status as a schismatic figure within the Catholic Church. Lefebvre's excommunication sparked controversy and debate within Catholic circles, with some sympathizing with his traditionalist views, and others condemning his disobedience to papal authority. While Lefebvre and his supporters saw themselves as champions of orthodoxy and defenders of the faith, the Vatican viewed his actions as a betrayal of the Church's unity and an affront to its hierarchical structure. In the years following Lefebvre's excommunication, efforts have been made to reconcile the Society of St. Pius X with the Vatican, although significant doctrinal and theological differences remain unresolved. The legacy of Marcel Lefebvre continues to influence discussions within the Catholic Church about tradition, authority, and the interpretation of Second Vatican Council's teachings. As the tale of Catholic excommunications concludes, it serves as a poignant reminder of the intricate dynamics between faith, authority, and conscience within the Church. From historic figures like Martin Luther and Henry VIII to modern controversies involving individuals like Marcel Lefebvre, these events have left a lasting imprint on the trajectory of religious history. While excommunications signify moments of rupture and discord, they also prompt reflection and dialogue, challenging believers to reconcile tradition with the demands of conscience. Ultimately, the story of Catholic excommunications speaks to the enduring pursuit of truth and unity amid the complexities of human faith and belief.